By the time he's made it back to me, he's out of breath and everything else, getting ready to get in the car. As soon as we've gone to go get in the car, his brains were just splattered all over my face. And I didn't even know what it was. I just thought it was just literally. And it wasn't until when I've looked, he's falling on me, he's caved on me. So his wig's been blown out and he's caving on me and he's leaking on me, blood spraying all over my face or whatever else. Well, I was born in Leeds and I grew up in Manchester.
And how would you describe your childhood?
I say in my family we come up with a little slogan for us. My mum would call us the Black Travellers because we were just moving from spot to spot to spot to spot to get away from my dad. So my childhood was a good childhood in terms of how I was raised, but tumultuous. If anything, very eventful.
And how was your education growing up?
I had a normal education. I went to school, just about finished high school, but always getting excluded or in some form of bullshit, really.
And you touched on there, getting away from your dad. Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, so my mother never knew she was actually pregnant with me. So she had one of those pregnancies at the beginning where you don't show. And it wasn't until something happened and I've shown up, obviously in the belly and things like that. And my dad was violent. He was violent towards the women that he was dealing with or whatever. So yeah, for some reason or another, he attacked my mum when she let him know. As she was pregnant with me, he tried to kill both of us. Basically, he's thrown my mum down the stairs, kicking her in the stomach, all of that shit. To the point where my mum was in labour with me. I believe it was 2.5 months premature. Put her in the back of his car and drove her around Leeds for a couple hours whilst I was hanging out of her. Literally, my mum said to me, I will never forget the day when she finally explained it to me. She said, I could see your foot hanging out of me whilst I was losing consciousness in the back of the car. And it wasn't until they drove past I don't even like calling him my dad. He drove past my uncle's shop at the time. And my uncle was outside and saw my mum screaming in the back of the car. And my uncle was one of the black belts of Europe at the time in England, in karate. So long story short of it, he dragged my dad out the car, kicked him, whatever else, fucked his shit up there and then got in the car and drove my mum to hospital and saved our lives, basically. So off the back of that, obviously, my father was a very, very violent person. So we had to get away from that. There was an instant, from my understanding, the incident that happened was he tried to kidnap me from nursery. And my mum had seen it. I'm not going to say what my mum did, but there was an altercation. So there and then in the school whilst I was a little baby, basically in the nursery. And yeah, and that was it. We had to get away after that.
Have you got any siblings?
I've got 32 siblings. So my dad, to our knowledge, it was 28 up until 3-4 years ago. So my dad's had 32 kids. Sorry, that's just my dad's side. My mum's had 5 boys. So altogether, it's an anonymous number. You could say nobody really knows, but I've got siblings, yeah, loads, yeah.
And then, so after education, what was next in your life, Jay?
The streets, man, the streets. I was already in them before I left school. I went college. I went City in Islington, sports college, but I was just there to shot weed, man. I was just there to have fun. I wasn't really taking it in, you know. I was fully immersed in the streets by then. So yeah, that was That was my thing. So I thought.
And then how did things start going wrong?
In terms of
The crime, like jail time, how did your life go down that path?
I started selling weed. Something happened where my mum had to go away for a bit. My brother got ill that was looking after the house, my big brother. All at the same time, and I took it upon myself. There was nothing coming in or nothing. There was just a big struggle. And I was just in the area where the boys are the boys and they're doing their thing, and the elders brought me in. So just gave me a bit of weed, do your thing with that, and just took it from there. And moving from one side of the area to the other, when I moved into Ilford, that's when things really picked up for me in terms of that life. So I moved straight into an area where there was prominent families and gangs running the area. So it was like, pick your side, choose your side, that's your side. But I was just doing me. And yeah, it just so happened that I lived close enough to one of the prominent families that do their thing, do you know what I'm saying? So just built up a relationship with them, went from shotting weed to selling coke, being in the car 24 hours a day on the line, making stupid money, because it was just stupid money. I make $5,000 before 12 o'clock in the morning, and I've only been working since 9 o'clock. But obviously that's not all my money. That's the team as a whole. So went to selling coke. I stopped that. I didn't like it. It was just I like my own time. I like to have my own time. I was a gyalist, you know what I'm saying? I loved the gyal. Look at me, I'm that ginger guy, you know what I'm saying? For my age in the area, I was doing the most. But because of who my connections were to, my associates were, I was always a target. Just being out there shotting every day, 24/7. I was always a target in terms of they're doing their thing. When we see them, like, it was always a thing, but I'm not gonna say nobody was on it, because I wasn't the biggest, baddest or nothing like that. It's just the sense of people knew that I was willing to go that extra mile just to prove that we're better than you. Just for the sake of it. Just to get respect more from the people that I was around. So yeah, I stopped. I didn't like it. Like I said, there was no time for myself, and the money wasn't good enough for me. I liked shopping. I liked to look clean. You know what I'm saying? I was caught up in the hype of the drip, that, as they say now. You know what I'm saying? It was swag back then. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, I stopped that, and I just I went on to moves, as we call them, movies. You know, the criminal system called it. They call it burglary, but I'm not a burglar. I've never been a burglar. Look at me. I'm not climbing no hose pipe and climbing through no window. I've got childbearing hips. I can't fit through no window. So I hate the word burglar or burglary or whatever. Not taken away from anybody that is their thing. That's your thing. That's your thing. But so I started doing. I was out for hire, basically. So I started doing work for hire. So you need jobs done, you can call me, basically, or you can get in contact with me through.
Give me an example of a job that you'd be often asked to do.
Someone's got something in that house that this guy wants. He's going to pay me to go and get it, and I'll go get it. That simple. So say he's got jewels in that house. There's jewelry, diamonds, an amount of money. I'll get the location, exactly where it is, what house it is, who the person looks like. Go and take it. Go and do what I need to do. Debt collecting, you owe money, I'm going to come and collect that. There isn't, without saying too much, there isn't nothing that I ain't seen or been around. or been about. You know what I mean? Just because I had to, because of who I was with. For instance, my first job, literally hardly anybody knows about, to be fair, only people, but like my time's over now, do you know what I mean? I don't need to hide nothing. I don't need to be scared anymore. As I'm sitting here, I'm scared talking because I've never spoken about it in depth, do you know what I mean? The first job that I got put on, I was shadowing someone just to see how it works, see what I've got to put on, what mask I have to put on to scare whoever it is I need to scare. That job went wrong. He was meant to go and shoot this guy in his leg for a piece of money. I was just meant to see how it works. Something's happened. He's gone in the pub. It hasn't happened. Something's gone wrong. I'm standing outside. By the time the guy's made it back to me, I say the guy, he wasn't close, but he was close enough to the associates. By the time he's made it back to me, he's out of breath and everything else, getting ready to get in the car. As soon as we've gone to go get in the car, his brains have just splattered all over my face. And I didn't even know what it was. I just thought it was just literally. And it wasn't until when I've looked, he's falling on me, he's caved on me, so his wig's been blown out and he's caving on me and he's leaking on me, blood spraying all over my face or whatever else. Shots are flying off after us and all that stuff. I couldn't even drive properly at these times. So I've thrown him in his car, dead. Thrown him in the car and got off. Whatever, the door was open, got off. Don't know how I made it out of there. I don't know why it was him and not me kind of thing. You know, all those things just... But that was the first ever thing that me switching from shotting to go to this, because all I have to do is go do a job for 15, 20 minutes, half an hour. And then I'm chilling for the next week with 20, 30 grand in my hand, 5 grand, 6 grand, 2 grand, a grand. Do you know what I'm saying? £500. Depending on what it is, depends on how much you get paid. So it never deterred me. It kind of motivated me. So that's what I went into. I was an enforcer, so to speak.
And how did you get caught, or did you get caught, or how did that end?
The first time or second time?
The first time.
First time, amateur. I was an amateur. Amateur. They come back with, so there was an incident, a road rage incident with my co-defendant, where the cabman he's just being stupid on the road. He's not letting us through. We're in a big X5, and so we got out, we beat up the cabman, steering lock, I bust his head, everything, all of that. And then he went, when that happened, I dropped my license and my house keys. So literally we're fighting. So after that, I've left him there, leaking, whatever he's doing, sleeping. To me, he looked like he was sleeping. It's cool. Left him there, cool. He's woken up and he's got my ID. So he's taken it straight to the police station. So the police have called my mum at the time, because they were so regularly coming to my house to arrest me. They're arresting me. Every week I was getting arrested. No, I was just getting arrested. I was getting picked up. I get picked up on suspicion of selling drugs, suspicion of this, suspicion of firearms, suspicion of this one, someone's been hurt, murdered or whatever. I was just getting picked up on suspicion a lot. I was just getting arrested every week, 2-3 times a week sometimes. So instead of them, because every time they used to come to the house, my mum wouldn't have it. My mum was old school Jamaican, born and bred, you know what I mean? So you can't come to my mum's house and think that you're gonna, please, you could be Ginger Jesus himself and my mum ain't gonna let you come through that house, you know what I'm saying? So the police knew, like, the problem in the house, it isn't me, it's my mum. You know, there was like, and after a while, they were like, we ain't going to that house without making a phone call, because my mum made it clear, you coming to get my son, call me and let me know and I'll make sure he turns up, kind of thing. So they called my mum said, the police want you, they've got your ID, da-da-da-da-da. took me to the station. When they've taken me to the station, they've ended up bailing me. But then 3 days later, they've come and arrested me again for a burglary gone wrong. So I dropped a glove. I dropped a latex glove, and I didn't even know I dropped it. Done what I've done. It didn't happen. When they're telling me where it was, I don't even know where that is. And they showed me a picture. I was like, oh shit, cool. That same day, they bailed me again. And that same night, I've gone to go do another job. Phone call, another job. Yeah, what? How much weed? I'm there. What, grow house? I'm there. Because those days I was a weed baby. That was my thing. So, yeah, that went wrong. So from everything from going right, top of the world, whatever else, girls, shopping, cars, whatever else, at the age of 17, 18, now it's just going wrong. Everything I do is wrong. So this night, the owners of the house, it was the wrong address. There was nothing in the house anyway. And then, yeah, man, the owners of the house, there were some big motherfuckers. Like, they were big. Like, just some big pub gear. You're like, mate, yeah, Gates, yeah. And yeah, no, the guy sat on me. He literally sat on me. He literally grabbed me and sat on me. There was no two ways about it. He sat on me. He sat on me for it was like 20 minutes. I think it got to a point where I was just talking to him now, like, can I get a Coke? Like he literally sat on me like so long. It was like, bro, like, you comfortable? Yes, sweet, I'll be your ottoman. It's cool. You're gonna send me to jail though? You're just gonna sit on me and send me to jail? Like, that's kind of shit, because that's who I am. Even though I was doing all this badness and whatever, I've always been the guy that makes people laugh, makes people smile, makes people feel comfortable, make people feel at home no matter where they are. And that's me. That's the honest me. That's the genuine me. The bullshit, the crime and the bad boy stuff. And I was just acting up to be something that I thought I wanted to be, just because I could see it in my face every day. I was around the real gangsters, real OGs, real bad boys. Like, you know what I mean? Like, on some real, not no standing on the corners, shotting, whatever. I'm talking, you can't see what we do. Just know that we got it. Do you know, one of them ones? So I was trying to be that, and it was never me. So even in the midst of, I know I'm in my head, I'm going to jail now. I've never been to jail, but there's no way I'm not going to jail. I just left the police station. I'm still busting jokes with a guy that's sitting on me and effectively sending me to jail, but he's not, he's protecting his house. Do you know what I mean? So with age, maturity, time that I've spent in the cell, and now I now see what the other side of the pendulum is, if that's the right thing. So my perception's always been this, but I've been able to come round and look at it from the outside, from a citizen, from a standard normal citizen's point of view, and see how my actions have affected everything and everyone around me. So that was the first time I went to jail. That was, I got 6 years, do 3. So I did 3 years, I came out in 2000, that was 2010, I was 19. I come out 2013, and I was back in within 7 months.
How?
So when I came out, the team was much stronger. I'm gassed. I've gone in a kid, going in jail, being in jail 12 years ago in this country, I'm gonna say it, shit was fun. And every time I say it, people look at me like, you madman, you're going back to jail. How can you say jail was fun? Youth clubs, remember youth clubs? That's what jail was back then. It was just like a youth club. The officers respected the hierarchy. So there was no bullshit. If the bullshit comes up, it gets squashed. So everything's managed, everything's running smoothly. There's no short staff, so the jail's running smoothly. If you need you're getting what you need to survive in prison without no issues. And everybody there's like a family. It's just like everyone's just boys. It's just like it used to be like, Imagine a boys' holiday, but the boys' holiday is fucking long. It's just with no pussy. A boys' holiday with no pussy, and the only pussy you can see is just some old women walking across the landing. After 2 months on that landing, what looked like your nan on the landing now looks like Beyonce. Like, you know what I mean? So that's what it was like, Joe, back then. It was like, my nan, Beyonce. Oh, I would tap that. And then all the boys on the landing are, do you know what I mean? So it was banter, it was good. Everybody looked after each other. Families would come and visit, and everything was, it wasn't cool to obviously be in jail, but it was okay if you was a prisoner at that time because the system inside wasn't fucked. Came out, so I came out still in the same mind frame. I wasn't rehabilitated. I wasn't worked with as a young black male coming from where I'm coming from, and then all of this stuff. And I don't like putting the black thing on too many things, but that's what it was. Do you know what I mean? The system isn't built to help anybody of any ethnic minority. And I don't like saying minority either, because you look at it now, it's black and browns everywhere. We're the majority. You see what I'm saying? So the system's not built at all to recognise anything that we need. The system in England is built for British citizens' purposes, if that makes any sense. It's built for British cultural purposes. So if you're not from the British culture, if you haven't grown up in it, surviving in it is a bitch. Do you know what I mean? But as long as you know that, you'll be all right. So I got out, didn't know it when I got out. I got out even more gassed, even more on it. I'm hench. I'm 22 years old and I'm pushing 165 kg on my chest by myself 12 times. I'm deadlifting 250 kg. I'm squatting just under 300 on my, like, I was a beast. And I was ready for the streets. Phone calls I'm getting is, yo, Gin, yo, T, yo, boom, yeah, money there, da-da-da, home now, boom, come get this. So yeah, I was on it, man, and that's when shit got real in terms of I'd leveled up because I'd gone to jail and I hadn't snitched. Because I could have snitched. I could have snitched on shitloads of people and got out of jail, but it's not in my vocabulary. You know what I'm saying? It's not in my life. That's not even I don't even think about them things. It's no comment. Or if you do give a statement, you're just waffling. You're just waffling shit. So I had a level up. With the level up, it was a case of I can do bigger things now. I can get put on bigger jobs. So I just went one better and I built my own little team. Like I built my own little team purposely just for this, for enforcing. And yeah, man, my phone just started ringing. Not ringing off like every day, but it was ringing. It only needed to ring once a week just to be living a nice life. So yeah, I was doing things. I was involved. I was running up in houses. Doing shit no one's meant to do for no reason. And people say, no, there was a reason, there was money in there. No, there was a reason, my man, da-da-da-da-da. No, there was a reason this was in there. That's no reason at all to go and violate somebody else's life for your gain. And you're not gaining anything. At the end of the day, you don't gain anything. I haven't gained anything from doing those things. Nothing but PTSD from seeing the fear on women's faces that have been tied up. I've never harmed a woman. That's what I thought. Do you know what I'm saying? I've never harmed any women. I don't put my hands on women. But watching a woman get tied up with her child, I've harmed her. I've harmed that child forever in ways more than physically, because I was a part of that. They will never know it was me. Do you know what I'm saying? But I will never forget those faces of people genuinely believing they're about to get killed for something that doesn't mean anything and never going to kill you. But what are you supposed to think when you've got big hench guys screaming, where is it? Give it up. You got crazy guys. I've been on something where the guy is willing to harm the child just to get nothing sexual, just to harm the child. I'm just like, no, let me out of the car. You know, but it doesn't matter because I've got the knowledge of it. Do you know what I mean? I could have stopped it. Could have took the keys out of the car and gone back to my house. No one's going nowhere. Do you know what I'm saying? No children got harmed, but at the same time, I was with people that were willing to harm children just to get that bag. And I was just so blind to it. I was cold, man.
Yeah, so you're saying, Jay, the second time you went to prison?
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, the second time. So the second time, I was involved deeply. My co-defendant had another case. With that case, he had witnesses. The witnesses needed to go. Simple. That was the notion. They can't get to court. All right, cool, say no more, we'll deal with it. So I went to court the second time for perverting the course of justice. I went to jail, the second time, ultimately for perverting the course of justice. Conspiracy to pervert the course of justice. With a hand grenades, by use of hand grenades and shooting. So the circumstances of the case was a shooting has happened at the house, on the house. Shots have been fired on the house and a grenade has been thrown and exploded outside of the house, right outside of the house. So initially I got arrested as a terrorist. Yeah, I got arrested by NCA, MI5. They pulled up on me and it was nothing nice. It was nothing nice. That was the first wake up call. I was in the hotel above Faces in Gants Hill, the club. I think that's Phil Mitchell's club, you know. And I think the irony in it is that I've been watching Phil Mitchell all my life, and that motherfucker didn't come save me. I'm just putting it out there. So sorry, but yeah, I don't know if it's still his club, but yeah, that's where I was. They blew the door off to the hotel room. I've woken up, the door was smoking at the window, and I'm naked. I'm naked in my bed. I like to sleep naked, so I'm naked. They pull the covers off me, so I'm just there. The lights are on. This guy's come round and he's screaming in my face like, stay down, don't move, you black cunt, you black Muslim cunt, you terrorist cunt, And I'm there, man. I'm looking him in his eyes. I'm waiting for the trigger. Do you know what I'm saying? I'm waiting to hear the noise that I know so well. Do you know what I'm saying? But for the last time, I'm just there, I'm waiting. You black cunt, you stay down, you fucking Muslim cunt, you terrorist. And then his superiors walked in and he said, put the gun down, we don't need another charge. We don't need another case. And he's looked at him and he's put the gun down. I was thinking, if I had moved, if my arm had dropped, I'm naked, he still would have shot me point blank in my face. The lights are on, just like this. The lights are on, but they still had their red beams trained on me point blank. And he is ready to shoot me dead. I'm not even Muslim. I'm not even Muslim, bro. Like, it's like, that there was crazy because I've been arrested numerous times. Do you know what I'm saying? I've seen people arrested by armed police, but never like that. They put me in zip ties. There was no handcuffs. They zip tied my legs, my feet, my ankles, and my hands. I had to hobble from the third floor of the hotel. So everyone's out the doors looking at me and I'm, it was just all, my ear's still ringing from the door, not being where the door's supposed to be. Do you know what I'm saying? So that was mad. And then going out, it was all black cars that picked me up. It was no police cars, there was no marked cars. They locked off the whole road. A black Hummer, Superbike, and a blacked out M3, BMW M3 picked me up, take me to the police station. And they drove past 6 police stations and took me to a police station in the countryside. Just outside of London in the country. Essex ways, kind of. Like, they put me in a cell for just under 2 days. With no water, no food, no checkup, no bed, no nothing. And I know it was just under 2 days because the solicitor come and told me, you've been in there for 2 days with nothing, right? Do you want to claim? Do you want to do all of that? I said, no, man, no, I'm good. Just because you don't want to have too much to do with the police anyway. So if that's what they're doing, that's what they're doing. That's just how I've been raised, you know what I mean? Yeah. So then I was arrested on terrorist charges. Well, I was arrested as a terrorist, and that dropped very quickly to going equipped with firearms and explosives, to then providing, they said that I was the one delegating, so then they made me the second in command to the boss man, saying that if I wasn't the one that did the shooting and the grenade attack, then I was the one that made it happen. And I was in the police station for 5 days, and finally put me back in prison. By then I was aching to go back to prison because I was just in this police station. I know what prison's like. I was begging them, just hurry up and put me back there, because I genuinely believe you're going to kill me in this police station because I'm not giving you what you want. 5 days, you don't get held for 5 days in the police station. Do you know what I mean? Like, even with the special permission that they get of the prosecution to hold you for extra time, right? Murderers, high-profile murderers and serial killers don't get held in a police station for 5 days. Do you know what I'm saying? Obviously it happens, but in my head, no one's been hurt in my case. Nobody has been touched, right? So back to jail. There's 9 of us in this one jail now, so we're the talk of the town. We've got the hierarchy, we've got the boost. Everybody wants to know who we are if you don't already know, which most people did. So the charges now, they start coming in and dropping. So it goes from where they had me equipping and delegating and all this stuff and the roles that they were putting me in. And then it went to attempted murder. So it's gone like it, and that took me somewhere else, man. That's when it dawned on me, man. I'm not coming home. So my mum was the first person I called straight away. I just called my mum when I found out. And like I said before, my mum's old school, Jamaican born and raised. Smartest person I know. Strongest person I know. Emotions ain't a thing for my mum. She doesn't show them. But this was one of the few instances that I can say I heard emotion in my mum's voice. In hindsight, I shouldn't have called her and told her that, because my mum suffers with illnesses, so it just put her in a really bad position mentally, which she would never admit. But I said, yeah, Mum, man, I'm not coming home. I'm not coming home. You're not going to see me again. And I broke down there and then. There and then on the wing, blue phone in front of everyone, I broke down. And you don't cry in jail, right? You're not allowed to cry. You're not allowed to show those emotions. People will take it as a vulnerability, which is a fact. But I had nothing left to hide, man. I had nothing. This was just the beginning. Do you know what I mean? So, yeah. And then a week or so later, that double attempted murder talk, that charge, what was coming, has now dropped to perverting the course of justice. So we're at the top of the charge list in terms of sentencing and what you can get. And now we're at the bottom to a white-collar crime. These times, so when it's done that, all of our barristers have said to us, well, my barrister said to me before anybody else, and then my Cody's barrister said, you're going home, you're busting case, they haven't got no evidence. There's no evidence. The evidence they do have is it's bullshit. You're going home. As soon as I heard that, I was on the wing just, you know what I'm saying? I was giving it all them times there. I don't even know what the dance craze was, but I was doing Laffy Taffy, everything. I'm a man, but I shouldn't be twerking. I was twerking out on the wing. I was screaming, I'm going home. Yeah, everybody, the whole jail was up. Everybody was like, yeah, you man, bus case, da 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 da. And then boom, 2 days later, conspiracy to pervert the course of justice. No one's going home, man. That's it. Got you. Conspiracy means they don't have to prove anything in court in England. You get conspiracy put onto your charge. They do not have to physically prove they do not have to provide any physical evidence that you have any involvement. All they have to prove is that you had knowledge of something. That's it, you're guilty. Could you imagine how much people would be in prison today if they admitted to having knowledge of crimes that are happening every single day? Could you imagine the uproar? That's a great person, he's a good citizen. It doesn't matter that he knew that his nephew was going out there to rob from the shop. He shouldn't be in prison because I got put in prison for a total of 11 and a half years for having knowledge. Because they can, right? So we all knew conspiracy got put on it just so they can get time out of us. So then, as soon as that happened, they sent us to Belmarsh. Sent me and my Cody's to Belmarsh. Well, me and my Cody, me and just the main Cody to Belmarsh. And that's where the hell started, man. They call it Hellmarsh for a reason. It's not a joke. We walked in there, and straight away, as soon as we walked into that jail, they shut the jail down. Shut it down. Dogs, everything. And just two of us. We was there. What the fuck's going on? The governor, we got there at 8:30, 9 o'clock at night. The governor left his house to come back to work to greet us. And he said, we've been waiting for you to come here. You're not getting anything. You're going to go behind your cell door for 23 and a half hours a day. You're not allowed to associate or have any communication with anybody on the wings, but we're going to put you on the wing. So we're going to put you behind your door like you're a vulnerable prisoner, like you're a snitch, a paedophile, nonce. We're going to make you look like you're a dirty person, you're a dirty criminal to the rest of them. And on top of that, we're going to put you on the lifers wing, where we keep all the most dangerous people in England. I looked at my Cody like, is he talking about? He's talking about me. I don't know. And that was it. So for 6 months, for 4.5 months, 23 and a half hours a day, banged up in Belmarsh in a 3-man cell, 3-man bang up, there's 3 of us in a cell, bunk bed and a single bed, no exercise, not allowed fresh air. The only time we was allowed out was to get a shower and straight back in the cell. Wasn't allowed to get our food, nothing. They would not let us associate with anybody because, and it came out later on paper from the police and the courts or whoever else, they had put regarding me, because I can't speak anybody else, that I am a highly manipulative, highly dangerous manipulative criminal that's able to weasel my way into any syndicate, any form of crime boss or anybody. I can make a relationship with them. I can manipulate them to work with me, for me, or to get work for me or whatever. That is why they had me there. So they didn't want me having no communication with any prisoner, because they couldn't figure out how me, a 19-year-old black boy, has managed to infiltrate this family that ain't black, that don't tolerate no race or any outsiders. But I was in this house, I was in this family's house every day. I was treated just like family. So that's why they thought that I had to manipulate them somewhat. So all in all together for 7, until trial, for 7 months, Belmarsh never let me get fresh air. 23 and a half hours a day, I was banged up for 7 months in Belmarsh, on the wing, on the lifers wing, and they wouldn't let us out for fresh air. I was not allowed fresh air. I have guys I'm in contact with me now that you could call yourself, and they will tell you, yeah, we was on the wing with them. We was making sure that they got their food properly and all that. So I don't know what kind of setup that was. I don't know if it was especially for us because we were the only ones on it in the whole prison. So yeah, that was a lot. And then they made me the highest risk prisoner in Britain, and I hadn't even been sentenced. I got caught with a couple phones in Belmarsh. They couldn't figure out how I've managed to get phones in the highest security jail and whatever else. So they made me E-list. So because of my connections and whatever else and associations, they said that I have the means to escape. You're not escaping Belmarsh. It's not happening, not in this day and age. But for some reason, they think that I've got this means now. So they put me on E-list. But they put me on E-list for speaking to my mum. So E-list is the banana suit. We call it the banana suit. So it's blue on one side. It's like a chessboard. So you got checkered blue and yellow, or green and yellow. And you've got to walk around in this green and yellow tracksuit whilst everybody else is in their normal clothes or whatever else, prison tracksuits. You've got to walk around in this. You look like the bananas in pajamas are running down the stairs. That's how they had me in prison. Like, I was literally bananas in pajamas around everybody. And then with that, I wasn't allowed to make a phone call. I had to apply to make one phone call 3 days before I made that phone call. If anybody wanted to contact me, the police had to go around to their house a week before they could contact me. There just wasn't anything. They just shut down my whole possible, any form of life of living in prison, they shut it down.
Why do you think they were doing this?
I'm not going to sit here and say, I don't know, I'm a victim, I'm this, that. I was who I was, and I was involved in what I was involved in. Looking back on it now, it's not right the way how it's not, I'm not going to say fair. I'm going to say it just wasn't right the way how they were conducting their professionalism towards me. They were doing whatever the fuck they felt they wanted to do. And I'm not going to lie to you, I was violating the prison. I was doing what I had to do to survive. Even though you got me behind the door, it doesn't mean that I ain't going to survive. It doesn't mean that I'm not going to flip what I need to flip to get what I need to get, just so I'm getting through every day. So I was doing what I was doing. So no doubt they was getting intelligence to say that I was providing X, Y, and Z. But they were spinning my cell. They were spinning my cell free for. It's like a police raid on your house, right? They do that in prison. But they were raiding me at 3-4 times a week, 6 in the morning, 2 in the morning, 2 in the evening. They would just come at random times, knowing I've got stuff in the cell, but never finding it. So because they were never finding it, the only thing they can do is punish me without punishment. In prison, that's the main thing. They will punish you without no punishment. To the rest of the world, it doesn't. You have no idea what goes in behind those walls. But they will punish you without having any punishment to give. they created a punishment for me and my co-defendants specifically. That punishment still runs today. After speaking to people that are coming out of Belmarsh recently, I asked them, does DOC still? DOC, does that still? Like, oh, DOC, yeah. The 22-hour bang up, yeah, they're just putting anybody on it now. You can have a fight. And so that's why. I wasn't behaving. I was just being unruly. It was, all right, you're going to do that to me? I'll just get one over on you. I keep doing it. I'll just keep getting one over on you. I'll just keep getting one over on you. But they run me down. They did not stop. They kept going until they fucked me up in the cell. They fucked up my shit. I had one officer called the Man Mountain, and he was Game of Thrones. That big guy in the Game of Thrones that sits next to the Queen, that was him. Like, and he picked me up and just walked me down the Green Mile. We call it the Green Mile because where the segregation is to the rest of the jail is like 2 miles long, but it's all indoors. It's not 2 miles, but it looks like it. He picked me up and walked me all the way to the segregation. I was off my feet for about 3 minutes and he just walked me. That's how big he was. I'm not a small guy. I'm short, 5'7", 5'8", depending on the footwear. But he did what he did, and yeah, man, that was the start of my... I got sentenced. When I got sentenced, the judge says, I want to give you a recommendation of 20 years before parole, but the evidence won't support it, and you will win an appeal. So I'm going to give you the most that I possibly can, which is the longest sentence given. Gave me 14 years for perverting the course of justice, and it gave my Cody 18 consecutive on top of his 15. And he's the first on the indictment, the boss man. Other Cody's got 10, 9. The snitch got 13 and a half years. What are you snitching for? Do you know what I'm saying? Like, you got half a year less than I did. You snitch for no reason. You're an idiot. But at the same time, I don't blame him. You know, people might look at him and say, what do you mean you don't blame him? He got put in a position where they found physical evidence. And the pressures they were putting on me without no evidence, I could only imagine the pressures they were putting on him. And he isn't about that life. He was never about, he was just a driver. He was a cab driver anyway, so he was never in the life. He was just a driver, do you know what I'm saying? So growing up, being a grown man now, looking back on it, I don't blame him. Because he wasn't even about that life anyway. You would call the police if somebody burgled your house. Do you know, you're a citizen, do you know what I mean? You're not going to call the man them and check. So looking back then I was angry, but yeah, he got 18 and then my Cody appealed it and got the same sentence as me. So when I tried to appeal and say, I can't have the same sentence as him if you're deeming him the boss and I'm under him. The law doesn't work like that. By law, you have to take my sentence down. The appeal judge, and this is 5.5, 6 years after I've been sentenced. This is how long it took they took for my appeal. So my sentence is almost, I've only got 3 years left now. I don't even, do you know, I've been through in these years waiting for this appeal, and now you come in. Anyway, got to court for the appeal. The appeal judges went in and came out within 30 seconds of deliberations. Said, we are not taking his time down. My boss said, what? What do you mean? What are you talking about? This is basically just a formality. You have to, basically. Like, no, if we take his time down, it will not be sending a good message to the public, and it will be saying that we just think that grenades can be thrown around at anywhere, and you can go and shoot up everything and anything. So we are not taking his time down. He will serve his full term, and if you bring it back to court, we will extend his time. That's it. Boom, done. What? But the law says that's what the law states some clear shit here. And the judges ain't even going to follow the law that they've written and they stand by. But yet still you're expecting me to. Why? Because I don't wear the cloak and the robe. I don't wear the wig. I didn't go to that school that your kids go to. Do you know what I'm saying? I don't move in the same crowds that your kids move in, or all this stuff, and you grow. So because I just didn't grow where you grown or speak how you speak, the law doesn't apply to me. A man went in after me, appealing his murder conviction, where there was physical evidence of this man killing his wife. Like, I say to him, you killed your wife, bro. I don't know what you appealing. Like, he killed his wife. He got his sentence from 28 years down to 21.
How did that make you feel?
I was cold to it. But I've done seeing all of that in jail. By then, I've had guys come in and perverting on the same charge as me for perverting the course of justice for people being killed. So they're just covering up people that's killed someone. They've just taken them in and tried to help with cover up their evidence. Get 2 years. And guys looking at me like, you got what? For what? I got suspended sentence for that, and that was a shooting. And someone got hit. No one's been hurt in my cases. Apart from the cab driver that got bust up. Apart from him. But so it just showed it didn't make me feel anything then, because I knew by then the police just wanted us off the streets. They just wanted us off. That was it. They just wanted us off the streets. And when the police want you, they'll get you. There's no two ways about it. It doesn't matter who you are. Don't matter how much money you got. Don't matter how much plugs you got. Don't matter how many connections you got. Police want you, they're getting you. By any means necessary. So I just dealt with it, man. I dealt with it how I've dealt with.
Jay, what would you say the worst memory in Belmarsh was?
To be honest, Belmarsh wasn't even the worst prison I was in. I've been in 16 prisons. I've been up and down the country. My worst experience in prison was waking up to go to the toilet, take a piss in the middle of the night, and my cellmate was hanging from the window. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, that's probably the worst thing. But I think the worst thing about it is that when I found my cellmate hanging, woke up to him hanging, the piss I didn't need to take anymore. I couldn't cut him down, because you can't cut somebody down that's hanging 11 feet up in the air with a window that is literally the size of your forearm and will only slide out halfway. And then his bars. I don't even know how he did it. So I pressed the emergency cell bell that every cell has, and it took them half an hour to come. So there was nothing else I could do apart from hold his hand. So I literally just held his hand until they come. I don't know if it's right for me to say this, but a fond memory of that specific time was my cellmate, him at the time, we just used to smoke the shit out of the cell and just laugh about it. So I had a little piece of weed left, and I said, you know what, the plan was for me to save this for the next 2 days. I said, you know what, I'm gonna smoke it with you. So, yeah, man, I rolled it, held his hand and smoked the last zoot with him, man. And it took them 33 minutes specifically to come and answer my cell bell at 2:30 in the morning, when nothing's happening, the jail shut down. And then when they did find him, it was, yeah, I got asked if I had done it. So yeah.
So after leaving prison completely, how long have you been home now?
2 weeks. I've been home, what day is it today? Wednesday. I've been home 15 days. I've been home 15 days,
What's
man.
the biggest change? that you noticed
Out here,
since being in?
the biggest change. Nobody seems to know where they are. Everyone's heads are in their phones or gadgets. No one actually seems to know where they're walking. Obviously, they know where they are. They know where they're going. But I think that's the biggest change for me. It's like, because I've always thought I was a slow walker. But now I'm zooming past people, and it's only because they're not looking where they're going. So if you're not looking where you're going, how could you know where you are?
As well, sorry for going a bit deep again, but what would you say is the worst memory of your life?
Oh. If I'm honest, I actually can't. I can't put. There's two. Can I say two? My nan dying. And when my mum and my older brother come to visit me when I first come back in on the second sentence, on the serious thing. And I could see, man, they were ready to give up. Literally everybody, but everybody was. It was like that week. Everyone said, like, we're done with you, man. But we're still gonna be here for you. When this happens again, you ain't got no more family. When you hear the people that just have the most love, the most energy, they just have the best intentions for you, tell you that they're done with you, and it's through no fault of theirs. You got to hold yourself accountable at some point and make decisions. That's a very hard memory. But like I said, there's so many very bad memories, but things that hit home for me. It's not the gruesome shit. It's not seeing the dead bodies. It's not being part of the hit team. My worst memories are remembering the times when I have to finally hold myself accountable for my actions and dealing with my own demons. Because that's some shit you just can't deal with by yourself in prison. Not the way how they had me in prison. So my worst memory is a continuous memory. It had been a continuous, it's just one, it's a loads of things that's the same thing, but it's happened numerous times. Does that make sense? So my worst memory is losing everybody and everything that I loved at one point through death, or just through people making those choices to drop me out.
And Jay, before we finish up, is there anything that you would like to say?
There's so much I would like to say, but one thing I definitely want to say is people always ask me, have I changed? Have I changed? Have I changed? And I tell them no. And they look at me like, you haven't changed. You've done 11 years and whatever. You've done life as prisons, this, that. What does that mean? You're still going to come out and still... I say, no, I haven't changed. I don't know why people want everything to change. I've just become the person that I was meant to be. I don't need to change. I'm just the person I was meant to be now. And it just took me that little bit longer to understand myself and find my peace and accept myself and be happy with who I am. So now I can give it to the world through the form of comedy and music and things that I love to do. Do you know what I'm saying? That's, if you know me, if anybody knows me, then you know that I'm just about love and peace. And I know it sounds crazy and whatever, but I really am. Obviously, everyone's got the other side. But I've retired that side now. You've got to get me to do something violent or to trigger, yeah, you got to be Ginger Jesus himself. Do you know what I mean? So if there's anything that I would say is, anybody watching this, if you do watch this, just know what you're doing, man. Know who you are. And if you don't know, it's simple. Sit still. Just sit still and everything will come to you. Everything that you don't, it will genuinely come to you. And if there's nobody you can take it from, you take it from a man that's been in a cell for a third of his life. I'm 31, I went in at 19. I spent my whole 20s. So take it from me, like, if you can't find it, but you've been looking for it, you've been working for it, you've been searching, grinding, praying for it, sit still. Just sit still and it will come to you. Just like my release date.
Thank you for your time.
No, I appreciate it, bro. Thank you, man.